Lola Elfers, thanks for coming on the podcast. So, you're a dancer, dance teacher, collegiate student, and you live with an invisible condition that can completely change what your day looks like. If I asked your best friend, who's Lola? What do you think they'd tell me?
I think this could go a couple different ways, but they definitely say across the board I'm a very dedicated person to everything I do. From dance, being a competitive dancer for 10 years almost, and then school again, just dedicated to doing everything right. And then with my chronic illness, EDS, that impacts my like everyday activities, but I'm very dedicated to stay very active and able. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and we will get into EDS a little bit later and what that is and how it affects you and all that. But to start off, um, what outside of that summary, who else are you?
Oh boy, that's a hard one. I'm a very caring person, across the board, very dedicated. I don't know.
Okay.
It's
But
a hard one for me to just think about on the
yeah,
top of my head.
yeah, I get it. Okay, so can you get into how we know each other?
Sure. So, we got in contact through Dan Scheid. He's
Yeah.
one of my physical therapists, which I believe you've also worked with him before.
Yep.
So he connected us, and then
Yeah.
thought it would be a great idea to talk about whatever we want to talk about on here.
Yeah, I love it. And if you weren't here in studio doing this podcast with me, where would you be?
I'd probably be at my dance studio teaching some more dance classes.
I like it. Okay.
Mhm.
Dance studio, teaching more dance classes. And do you teach like all ages or?
I do. I teach, like, ages, like, 7 to 17.
Okay, awesome. No adults though.
Nope,
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I coach wheelchair tennis. I don't know if you knew that, but
I did not.
I coach wheelchair tennis and pair standing and blind and visually impaired and adaptive from time to time as well. But I coach primarily kids. I'd say it's maybe an even mix now, but I
Mm,
mean the Cincinnati Tennis Foundation they're geared towards kids, but
that's great.
we're the only tennis program that has like adaptive sports and all that.
Yeah.
So um if so how about tell me about if you could learn any skill or trait overnight, what would it be? I know that's a interesting question, but I
Uh,
always like to hear guest perspective.
Probably more people skills,
Oh,
especially, like I don't know if it's something new, but just getting better at, like, s understanding myself and getting other people's to, like, understand my point of view, if
uh,
that makes any sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So are we talking within like the EDS space or just like your opinions or
Uh, EDS space, but also just kind of, like, how I work and
okay?
just, like, I don't know, how I do my day is very different. I go through a lot more than most average people, so I
Yeah.
feel like just people understanding my side would be great.
Yeah.
It would be something different.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at that, yeah.
Now, you said this before the podcast, but are you introverted or extroverted?
I'm a pretty introverted person.
Okay.
I am good with people in conversations, however, I'm not usually the person to be super reach out and super excited and party.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So do you so the way I describe introversion and extroversion is
Mhm.
it's like where you get your energy.
Yeah.
So, is that how you would describe it as well? Like you get your energy by being alone?
Kind of, but I'd also say I'm just more of the person to be closely connected to people than widely connected to people,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm much more I mean, I think most people are, but
Yeah.
much more comfortable and much would prefer to be with smaller groups of people with familiar faces than
Yeah.
big groups of people with who I don't know.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm an extreme extrovert. and I hence the podcast, right? I
Mhm.
love talking. Like this is the first time that we've ever met, and I love talking to new people and just understanding their situation and their story and all that. But in my like social group, I have I mean, like, I suppose I know a lot of people, but, like, I keep my, like, close friends down to a pretty small number, let's say. So, sounds like you're pretty similar on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Rolling Forward podcast. It's a podcast of people who keep rolling forward no matter what life throws at them. Real stories, real people, powered by purpose, resilience, and a drive that never ends. I'm Zach Sikora. Spina bifida didn't stop me. It just gave me a better excuse to sit down while I take over the world. Today's funny t-shirt is Wheelchair Mafia. It's not funny unless you get the inside joke. I've said it before on the podcast, but I'm not going to get into it today. But if you do want to be a part of the Wheelchair Mafia, which is nonviolent, you can get that on rollingforward.printful.me. And also, if anything stuck out with you on this episode, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear it. And if Lola doesn't see the comment, I'll probably let her know and see if she wants to respond or me respond on her behalf. But again, I really appreciate the comments. And if this episode stuck with you and you think it would be good for somebody else, please share it. That really helps the channel grow. And lastly, give me a follow if you like the episode, and so that you can keep watching future episodes. And again, that also helps out the channel. So anyway, let's keep rolling into today's episode with Lola. Okay, Lola. So what would your friends say you're obsessed with?
Dance mostly,
Okay.
also dogs. That's
Dogs.
kind of where it goes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So you like dogs over cats.
Yes, I definitely do.
Uh,
I've always wanted a dog, never had one.
oh, okay.
Hopefully that changes sometime soon, but
So as a kid, you never had a dog?
no,
Oh,
I know.
wow. Okay. Yeah, I prefer dogs. I think because I had dogs growing up. I am not like I don't know. There's something about cats that just drive me nuts. Even though they you don't have to care for cats as much as you have to care for dogs, but I don't know. There's a better connection with dogs.
Yeah,
So
agree.
yeah. Okay. What about what's something you spend way too much time doing? I suppose the same answer. Dance, right?
Yeah, that's most of my life. Dance and
School.
physical therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, physical therapy as
Yep.
well. How often are you, and you're the patient when you say physical therapy, right?
Yes, I am.
How often do you do physical therapy?
Uh, Usually 3 times a week.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I assume you do things outside of physical therapy as well?
If I have time so. If I had
Yeah.
time to do so, I will, but
Yeah.
it's hard to find free time.
Okay. Um, w- you teach dance. What do you love about teaching?
Um, I don't know. I just really like watching kids have fun and grow, and it's not just about the dance, it's about getting these children to grow up into good human beings. I don't
Yeah.
know, you can watch them from 3 years old until they're in college and just watch them over time. It's very
Mhm.
rewarding.
What lessons would you like to instill in your kids?
Ooh, uh, hard work is
Mm.
a big one for me.
Mhm.
I You can't get very far without working hard. Some people learn that quickly, some people learn that the hard way, but that's a good one. But also just to have fun and live in the moment. Don't take anything for granted.
I love that. One thing I hope my the players that I coach n- get is, and I'm sure that you have a lot more that you'd want them if you could write a list and all that. I'm sure it'd be long, but one of the things that I early on, especially in my like as a kid in my adult life, that I tried to shy away from was failure, and
Mhm.
I wasn't. I was never someone that like wanted to fail. I was super competitive and all that, and like now at this point in my life, I've kind of reshaped failure, and I've reshaped it to be a good thing as
Mhm.
long as I can learn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on failure?
I would say, and honestly, very similar to you. I'm a very competitive person with myself. So again, I don't want to fail, but I will try my very hardest and learn from my mistakes.
Yeah,
But like for other people, I failure is not something I want to bring upon people.
yeah,
However, I use it as a place for learning. Like something doesn't work, you try something else until you figure out what does work and it'll click and then you'll get there eventually. Just keep
yeah,
pushing through.
yeah. You said failure isn't something that you'd want to bring on to people. But I feel like in the dance world, like you have a routine and you mess up the routine, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we're gonna fail at this until we get it right, right?
Yeah. Definitely an aspect of that. Um I'd say especially with dance, failure is one of the word well, no one really likes to use that word, but
Yeah.
it depends a lot on the teacher for sure, like their opinions and thoughts and how they use that in the classroom.
Mm,
So I don't think of I f- mm, instead of failure, it's basically just mistakes and like relearning how like new habits and getting through that. You're not failing, you're just learning.
yeah. Someone on a prior podcast said it's not failing unless you give up,
Yes, I agree with that.
and so yeah,
Yeah.
I guess yeah, I guess failure is like yeah. Anyway, it's interesting. I suppose you're right. It's not there's another word for it, and
Mhm.
I have no idea what that word is, but let me know if you can think of one. But
Okay.
okay, let me ask you about your childhood. So what kind of kid were you?
Um, as a kid, I was actually a fairly outgoing person,
Oh,
which is kind of interesting.
that
I
is
was not crazy, but I was a funny child for sure.
okay.
Um, I don't know. I was always doing something weird, different like party tricks or whatever. Still very shy. However, get if I was comfortable, I don't know, you would be like, "What the heck is she doing?" Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like a story from your childhood that kind of like is an example of that? If not, that's fine.
Not a great one, but like, I don't know, just at home, like when you're like this one's actually probably a pretty good one. When you're at home cleaning, everybody's help cleaning. We have like a you turn the music on. I'm not usually the one cleaning. I'm just the one dancing the whole time. So to get keep everyone distracted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Uh, I don't know why this popped in my head, but, my buddy and I, we were cooking one day, and he's a programmer. He's been on the podcast, Matt, but, we were cutting, bell peppers,
Mhm.
and he was, like, doing this very methodical type of thing, and, what I did was I did, like, this spiral on it, and then I
Oh
picked it
my
up, I'm like,
gosh.
"Look how long it is." So, like, I feel
Yeah.
like you would do something like that, like,
Probably, yes.
because I'm like, "How do we make this fun?"
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
but, okay, so why dance when you were a kid?
That was, from my sister and my mom. My mom put my sister in dance when she was 3 to help with, like, coordination, basically,
Oh,
and then she just put me in it, and I stuck through it from 3 until now.
okay, wow.
Yeah.
And you're I assume this is an older sister based on
Yeah.
how you said it?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, you are?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 siblings, an older brother and an older sister.
Okay. And what's the age difference?
Me and my brother are 9 years, and
Okay.
me and my sister are 3.
Okay. I have a little brother, and the age difference, there's nobody in between, and it's 10 years apart. So I have an older brother and
Yeah,
sister too. But yeah. Okay. So you said 3 years and 9 years, right?
I think so, yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. Um, and so you started at 3, and what made you fall in love with it?
I honestly don't really remember.
Oh.
I was just something that I always did. I think I just always saw my sister and the older dancers dancing, and I was very inspiring to me, so I stuck with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there you said you're competitive. Was there a competitiveness from your siblings that you're like, "I'm gonna do this better," I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know. There probably was. Can
Mhm.
I think of an exact moment when? Not necessarily,
Sure.
but I mean, having siblings, I feel like there's always some level of competitiveness.
Mhm. And so I assume later on, after you're doing it for a while, you started to compete?
I did, yes, I did competitive dance for, I believe, 10 years.
Okay.
Mhm.
And can you kind of elaborate on that?
Sure. It was basically just a much higher commitment to dance,
Mm,
so I was had extra hours during the week learning new skills and techniques, and then weekends we spent learning and perfecting and practicing different routines. Then and I believe it was, like, January through May-ish, we would go to a couple different competitions and put our pieces up on stage that were we had, judges that
okay.
would score them, and then we would be judged basically against other studios and other competition pieces.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Did you travel around Ohio or around the US or
We stayed Midwest-ish.
Okay.
Um, we did not stay in Ohio. We were Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, down to Florida.
Okay.
Pretty
Cool.
far. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I did that with tennis, except I traveled with any sort of adaptive sports, you have to kind of travel far. But yeah,
Mhm.
I traveled all over for tennis. So I started it when I was 10, though. So you got the jump on me with the doing it at 3.
Oh,
But
I wasn't competitive at 3,
oh yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
started dance. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did say 10. I started sports at 10. I started tennis at 12. So um, okay. What did dance teach you that still shapes you today?
I'd say dance taught me so much. I don't even know what one thing I could list 50 probably. Hard work and dedication is one of them. You spend so much time with the same people. You spend that time getting better. You have to push yourself to keep growing.
Mm,
Um, and then also it's like how to work with a team, have team players, people who you maybe don't know. A week later, you'll be basically family with. You spend so much time with people. You kind of learn how to build those connections and
yeah.
work as a team with others.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Were you someone who no, we already asked you that. What dreams outside of well, I guess including dance, what dreams did younger Lola have?
Younger me wanted to be like a circus artist.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've always been a very bendy, flexible person. I like to be upside down, like to do all the flipping stuff. So younger me definitely wanted to like travel the world with like Cirque du Soleil, professional circus company, basically.
oh, wow,
Yeah.
interesting. And did that did so I feel like when you're a kid, you have multiple different dreams.
Oh yeah.
Was that like that was your main one? Was there any secondary dreams that you were like, "Oh, I wanna do this?"
Um, at a very young age, I was really liked animals, so probably something in that realm, zookeeper.
Yeah.
Loved animals, but I'd say the majority of the time when I started doing a lot of like the acrobatics and gymnastics through dance, that was something that found very fun and interesting, and I would have loved to keep doing that.
Yeah, interesting. Did you said you didn't own any dogs. Did you own any pets?
No,
Oh,
I did not.
where'd your love for animals come from then?
That's a great question. I have no clue.
Okay, just see them at the zoo or on
I
TV.
guess so. Probably
Interesting.
because I didn't have any of my own. I just thought they were fantastic. I
Yeah,
loved them.
yeah, yeah. You just really wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Mhm.
Um, okay, let's move on to so you y- you went through life kind of realizing that your body didn't behave, let's say, like everybody else. Can you start when, like, when that first happened or when you first noticed, I suppose?
Um, I'd say small things started popping up from, like, a very young age, like 5, 6,
Mhm.
but we never really pieced anything together or thought about much until I was in high school.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, very interesting. So, like, as a kid, again, how I've kind of said this already, I was a very bendy person. I was could did splits at a very young age. Dance also contributed to that.
Yeah.
Um, and then other weird things, like, I would randomly just my whole body would be covered in hives for no reason.
Oh.
It's a very interesting one. But then not until, like, beginning of freshman year of high school, I just had, like, a domino effect of injuries. I just keep injuring myself, not really doing anything crazy, but I, like, wouldn't have time to fully recover from one thing, and then something else would pop up. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Um, what was wow. What can you just rattle off some of those injuries you had?
Sure, I've torn my shoulder and dislocated it multiple times. Torn my meniscus in my knee a couple times, sprained my back, sprained my wrist, impingement. I've broken a couple bones. That's not really super related. But
Yeah.
then some of the really weird and interesting ones is like sprained my fingers in my sleep a
Oh.
couple of times.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ellie was saying that she wakes up with a dislocated shoulder. She has EDS as well,
Hmm.
but she was saying she wakes up with a dislocated shoulder every day.
Honestly, I don't know. I am very in tune, but also out of tune with my body.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell when something is off, but I don't know exactly what is off. So, like, my joints don't usually get stuck out of place like a full dislocation, but they slide around and slip a lot and get stuck in weird positions.
Interesting.
So, definitely waking up in the morning, I will have to, like, move my shoulder around for it to, like, click and, like, slip. Like, it doesn't feel out of place, but my joints almost always feel off.
Ah. Like every single one of your joints or just like a
Mm,
certain
most of them on my left side, it's the ones that I've injured before, but, like, my knees, my shoulder, my back will act up. It's
yeah,
but it also really depends on the day and what I did the day before.
okay. Are you left or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. And it's interesting because you said the left side is what acts up more.
Yes.
Why do you is that because you're right-handed, you have more muscle? Why do you think that is? Do you know?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I think some of it is probably the first, like, big injury I had was I sprained my left lower back, and, like, all of your muscles and everything, like, connect, so I feel like it was probably somewhat of a chain reaction and compensating for one thing leading to injuries of another.
Yeah, interesting. Was there a moment, from your childhood that you still remember vividly that stands out?
Oh, that's a great question. At the moment, not really,
Okay.
because that could go in so many different directions, I don't
Do
know.
you wanna pick one and, uh
Maybe for, like, as far as, like, the EDS goes?
yeah.
Um, sure. Dance at a very young age. We stretch before every class just so we get our bodies warm and we can keep working on different skills. I was always like the first person to be able to like do my splits. I could sit in them without feeling anything. We're also doing over splits. Like teachers and other kids be like, "Whoa, how are you doing that with your body?" I'm like, I don't know. I feel nothing, but it's not normal to most people.
Yeah. Oh, so over splits.
Basically, you're like okay, split, I think most people know what splits are, I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
you
yeah.
do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then basically you can just, like your leg or, like, your front or back leg, you can, like, prop it up, so it's, like,
Yeah,
hyperextension
yeah.
of, like, your hips and knees.
Okay.
I mean, it's good for dance, but not ideal for a connective tissue disorder.
Right, right. Yeah, I can imagine. And so when you had these series of like injuries as a kid, what was the first thought that was happening? Like, oh, this is another one or whatever.
Um, Basically, I mean, we kind of didn't really know, and it was also during that time I had to learn a lot about myself, a lot of things that most people don't need to think about.
Right.
So it was kind of like at first we didn't really think anything of it. It was like, "Oh, I probably just did something that's normal with how much activity I'm doing." It's not surprising that my body couldn't handle it. But
Yeah.
then it's one thing started stacking on top of each other, and I kept re-injuring the same things. Then we were like, "That's not right. We need to try and do something with that."
Yeah. Okay. And then like so let's fast forward. At what point did you start going to the doctor about it? Like, hey, these series of injuries and all that.
Well, I've gone through my fair share of doctors.
Yeah.
Most of them started out and still are orthopedic because I
Mhm.
mean it was just a sports injury. At first, we didn't really think anything of it until those doctors kind of were like, "I don't know what to do with you. The things that should work don't work."
Yeah.
So I've kind of just had to go through and like, basically just try different doctors until I found somebody who would listen to me and like, say, like, "Oh, this made sense." And or eventually we found, a provider who specializes in, like, hypermobility disorders, and, like,
Great.
"You definitely have this connective tissue disorder."
Yeah. You kind of cut out. You said you have those connective tissue disorders. Okay. And yeah, that's great that you found somebody. W- what is let's get in. We've been talking EDS. What is EDS?
Sure, it's a connective tissue disorder, so connective tissue is all throughout your body. It's in your skin, your muscles, your ligaments. I think that like the makes up the lining of some of your intestines. So it makes up a lot of your whole body. But with EDS, it's basically just it makes faulty collagen. Collagen is like the substance that connective tissue is made out of, I believe. Um, so it's just not made correctly and as tightly. So most people's tissues are like rubber bands. They stretch but then go back to their original shape,
Mhm.
where mine kind of will just stretch and stay stretched out,
Mm,
which is why I'm so loose and hypermobile and unstable.
mm. And EDS,
Mhm.
what does that stand for?
It stands for Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome.
Mhm.
That is actually a like umbrella term for like 13 different types of it.
Yeah.
So the type I have is hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos. So again, like the main like factor of that is just the hypermobility and a lot of the like joint and instability problems.
Yeah. And so so that's the most common,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Have you met anybody with, like, EDS yourself?
I have some friends who after I had my diagnosis went to people and they happen to also have hypermobile
No.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Yes.
In the dance world or
In
school?
and out, both.
Okay.
Actually, my best friend, she's not a dancer, but we were in high school together and now we go to the same college. She was recently diagnosed, I believe in like January.
Wow.
She had like similar problems, but also different. So like she was asking her body of different things, but like she was also very hypermobile. She could make her joints go farther than they could. But then she also had like other, like, I don't know, symptoms, like, she had a lot of problems with, like, migraines and headaches,
Oh.
so I don't know exactly how she got there, but I think kind of just talking to me and, like, I talk to her, like, all the time. She's, like, the one person who I've talked to, like, all the time about everything.
Mhm.
She was like, "I kind of feel like I fall into some of these categories. Maybe I should ask one of my providers about it," and they're like, "Sure enough. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah."
So, from what I've gathered, EDS is pretty misunderstood.
Mhm.
Why do you think that is?
I think that there just wasn't a lot of research and people didn't really know about it for the longest time. So, like, a lot of providers were just too afraid to look into it because that's not something they really teach in,
Mhm.
like, medical school.
Oh,
From what I've understood, I haven't gone to medical school, so I don't really know,
yeah.
but, like, I feel like it's one of those topics that might briefly be talked about, but you didn't see it very often for the longest time, so people just didn't wanna touch it. It's like
Mm,
it kind of falls under the place of you could see, like, 4 different types of specialists who might be able to, like, focus on it, but,
yeah.
like, there's not one person.
Uh,
Like, it could fall under your orthopedics, rheumatology, um, just genetics. Like, there's not one place or one department that focuses on it. It's really just super, like, individual providers, like, what their understanding is of it.
yeah, you know, it's interesting 'cause as I've been doing dealing with my head issues, that's kind of the sentiment that I've been getting is there's not one provider.
Mhm,
But the other thing, and I'm curious if you'll agree with this, I feel like doctors are so used to, like, addressing symptoms and
mhm.
not getting to the root cause of things that, like, you know, something like EDS, it probably manifests in a bunch of different ways, and they're like, "Oh, let's treat your sprained ankle or whatever else," and then they don't look outside of that, right?
Yeah. It's it's like it's if it manifests in literally almost every single body system.
Yeah,
It's very different for like every individual, but I do see like its effects like throughout like everything in my daily life.
yeah.
But like I don't know. It's weird because there's not a there's not like a genetic test for it, so it's very like subjective. If you tick the right boxes, it's very much just like a basically just go through, like, a questionnaire, and if it, like I don't know, if you tick all the boxes, you have it.
Yeah,
There's n like, it's kind of very, like that's again why it's not super understood. Some people are comfortable with that. Some people are like, "I don't wanna touch that because they don't know what to do with it." And
right.
also, there's EDS doesn't have, like, a cure. You basically just have to treat the symptoms.
Mm,
So, again, you have to find a doctor who will diagnose you, but then go to different specialists who will try to treat the different symptoms,
yeah,
but they usually don't ask you about the overall picture, so that's when a lot of things get missed.
got it. Interesting. You would almost think a primary care physician who's supposed to look at you as a whole would would pick up on that. But again, it's kinda rare. Do you
Mhm.
know, like, the rarity of it? Like, how many people.
I do not. Hypermobile EDS is the most common, and it's honestly not rare at all. It's just wasn't diagnosed for the longest time. But now, with more research and more things coming out, you'll hear and see about it a lot more than you
Interesting.
would like 5 years ago.
Yeah, okay. If, what what common symptoms don't happen with you?
Um, I have quite a wide
You
range.
do.
I do, but like I don't get migraines or headaches at all. I don't really know why most people like, that's a big problem actually is, like, their head and, like, migraines will cause a lot of other symptoms,
Ah,
but that's one thing I, like, never have to deal with,
yeah.
which honestly I will take.
That's great. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm curious. I I don't think Ellie mentioned headaches, but I'm curious if she does have them. I don't remember. She
Yeah.
obviously there's a lot of symptoms.
There is, and it also does depend on, like, which type and what other comorbidities you have,
Yeah,
because with EDS, there's a lot of other conditions that, like, just co-occur with it, so you
yeah.
kind of have to topple a couple things on top of each other.
Yeah,
same
what do you
way.
think the biggest misconception is for EDS, or one of them?
Um, just how widely it affects people. Like, I and then, like, I don't know, it's also, again, still something that's not widely understood, so they think, "Oh, I can move my joints farther than that. I have EDS." No, there's so much else that goes into it that a lot of people, especially with the hypermobile type, they don't understand what else, like, how else it affects our bodies.
Mm, okay. And then if I asked your family to describe, or a close friend who knows about it, to describe what you deal with, what would they
Mhm.
say?
Um, Symptom-wise, it's a lot of, like, joint pain and just pain, like, throughout, and that's different every day, but, like, from it, I have learned just, like, so much and, like, how to, like, just be, like, fine-tuned with myself and learn what does and doesn't work for myself. That's something that I had to learn a lot about the hard way on my own. I didn't have a lot of help with. I kinda just had to figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
So I do think a lot of people see that, like, how much I've had to just persevere and push through and find my ways to get to the point of, like, where I am now and keep continuing with finding different solutions, different, I don't know, everything that can fall underneath it, basically.
Yeah, let's talk about those solutions
Mhm.
that you've figured out, or I guess maybe even not solutions is the best word, but like just
Things
ways.
that, like, help
Yeah,
make it even a little easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of those solutions that have helped you along the way?
Um, Physical therapy
Yeah.
is honestly one of the big ones. My joints are just so unstable and my body deconditions so fast. So I have to just be really on top of it. Just keep doing the strength training. Just keep doing it. If I don't do it, like if I stop for a week, you will sometimes even see a noticeable difference in like my muscle size.
Oh,
And it just gets my muscles get so weak so fast, and then with that comes more joint pain because I'm more unstable, so my joints just they just wanna do whatever they want, so
wow.
physical therapy is and strength training is a really, really big important one that I've had to learn over the years that even though I feel strong, you can't stop, you have to just keep going with it, be consistent.
Yeah, in physical therapy, sounds like the biggest thing that helps is the strength training. It's not like stretching or anything like that, right?
No, I do not need to stretch. My joints and everything are stretched out plenty. If I
Yeah,
do that, that'll probably just create more problems.
yeah. Um, I oh, and so you were going on with other things that have helped along the way. You said
Mhm.
physical therapy. What else?
Um, I guess honestly, a big one is just learning where I can take a step back and not have to push myself very far.
Uh,
Like, get to a point where I can pull back without, I don't know, like without pushing myself to the point of unbearable pain or other symptoms,
yeah.
like, be able to recognize the signs of, like, "Oh, my body's getting tired," or, "I'm starting to feel something. Now is a good time to take a break. Don't push yourself because 'cause I've learned the consequences of pushing myself too far."
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting with my head issues. I've done the same, something very similar about like just with pushing.
Mhm,
Like with Dan, I went to him to help me with this, and he put me on a hand bike. He goes, because I was like, I was doing MMA type stuff for twice a week before that, and I was
mhm,
like, Dan, can I get back to working out? And he goes, okay, well, let's put you on the hand bike. We'll put you on the hand bike for 3 minutes, and we'll see how you do.
mhm,
And any motion makes my symptoms worse, and if I don't stop before they get too bad, my symptoms are like 24, 48 hours. I have just horrible, horrible symptoms with it.
mhm.
And I did that bike, and I was thinking like, oh no, you can push through this and blah 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 blah. And it's like, man, that it just wiped me out completely. So
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. So is it just like trial and error that you find that? Because that's how it manifested with me.
Mhm. It is definitely a lot of trial and error that I'm honestly still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
A big part of it that's, like, really hard for me is I know what my body has been capable in the past, and I'm afraid to lose that ability, so
Uh,
I'm still learning to actually, like, stop and, like, take those breaks. I just wanna keep going, I wanna push through because I don't wanna risk losing any strength or any mobility that I
yeah.
have.
And if you keep pushing,
Mhm.
will that be like dislocated joints or what happens if you do keep pushing?
Um, it's I guess just, like, a higher increase of symptoms and pain and then higher risk of injury and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so one transition I want to make is to social media. So when I had Ellie on, I posted a few shorts about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome (EDS), and the comments were kind of interesting. So this is specifically on TikTok. One particular person said that in in a lot of countries, EDS is also known as MS, which is multiple sclerosis. And I Googled it real quick,
Mhm.
and Google says, although they could have overlapping symptoms, they're not related at all.
Don't th No, they're not. Honestly don't have a great understanding of multiple sclerosis,
Yeah.
however, I do know very much that they are not the same thing.
Yeah, and like, there were people in the comments, that were like, I don't know. I don't have the comments pulled up, but the other interesting thing, from like the comments that I got were like, some people were like, "Hey, I have EDS, and this is how this manifests," and it's like, it 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 it. It's interesting because I didn't realize I didn't know about EDS until I met Ellie,
Mm,
and so I've gone my entire life not knowing what EDS is, and
mhm,
so I can imagine it can feel pretty isolating to some people who, especially like, thankfully, a couple people who have it, but
mhm.
I can imagine it being pretty isolating.
Yeah, a lot of people on social media do like to share, like, their experiences, which is helpful for some. I am not that person. I have learned it's probably not great. I'm really good at masking my symptoms and keeping things to myself. So
Yeah,
that's not really something I like to like go into. Sure, it is great to hear other people's experiences, but I don't feel the need to share mine.
I'm gonna
But
push this
yep,
closer to you.
as far as like the isolating, that kind of goes with it. Not many people understand what I go through because I don't show or tell them.
Yeah,
So, yes, but at the same time, it's kind of fine with me because I don't want to like not bragging isn't the right word, but I don't need everybody to know all of my business. I don't
yeah.
need everybody to I don't want people to feel bad for me, if that
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah, no, it absolutely does. Yeah, for me, like, I'll tell people I have spina bifida, and then they'll ask me what that is, and I'll tell them there's a hole in my back when I was born, and um, I, everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of the times the reaction was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that," and yeah,
Mhm.
like, I don't want that response. It's
No.
like, I'm fine. Like, I'm not fine, but like, I'm living life, and like, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. And so one of the things that I do is, uh and this is part of the reasons why I wear like different funny jokes. And if you want me to tell you the context behind this after the podcast, I can. But um I will often lead with, yeah, or like end the me telling about my disability with like, yeah, and like, my mom said, a lot of people ask if it hurt, which I have had that question as a baby when I came out of my mom's womb. Did it hurt? And it's like, do you remember anything when you were a baby? Like,
No,
what kind of question is that?
I can barely remember things from when I was like 5. I don't
Yeah.
have a very great memory as from young childhood. So, no,
Right, right,
doesn't make any
exactly.
sense.
So I'll make the joke. I'll be like, "Yeah, a lot of people ask me if it hurt if it hurt, and my mom told me I came out crying." And it's like the joke how baby's supposed to cry when you come out and all that. So bad joke, but it does lighten
Yeah.
the mood up a little bit. I am curious. Do you have or do you make jokes about it at all, or have you heard anybody else making jokes or anything like that to try to make light of it?
Not really. I No, I'm not a really jokey person. I'm not a very
That's okay.
intentionally funny person, so I don't. However, when other people do bring them up, I can appreciate them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Ellie has any jokes about EDS. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, um, okay, we're gonna get into the 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 a little bit more about the symptoms, a little bit more about EDS, the medical field. But
Mhm.
first, I want to do a wheelie bad jokes.
Okay.
So here's how Wheelie Bad Jokes works. I have these two books is from Logan Lyle. He's on all socials. He all he does is tell dad jokes, and I absolutely love his jokes.
Okay.
So these are two books that he's made for just all these jokes. Go follow him, Logan Lyle, on whatever social. He's really funny. But I'm gonna open it up to a random page. I'm gonna read a joke out of it, and then and then I want you to read a joke. But here's
Okay.
the kicker with the joke
Mhm.
is with the joke you can't read it. You have to read it, and then you have to like look at me or not look at the book
Mhm.
to actually tell the joke. So
Okay.
um all right, so I'm gonna go first, and okay. All right, here it is. Tomorrow, my son and I are getting him a new set of glasses. After that, we'll see.
Wow.
Pretty bad. Yep. That's why this segment's called Wheelie Bad Jokes.
Yeah.
All right, so you open it up to a page.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the eye contact does make it so much better than just reading it off.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. 100%.
Okay. Sundays are always sad, but the day before is always a Saturday.
I have not not heard most of these. I actually really like that
That
one.
one's a pretty good one.
That one's a great one. So you like the joke that you read better, I assume.
A little bit, yeah.
What would you rate each joke on a scale of 1 to 10?
Um, it's a great question. I don't know. They're both I feel like the when you read them and how you read them makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Just like actually telling them to each other is much better than reading them.
yeah.
So I'd say yours is like a 5 because I feel like that's such a classic one that you will hear
Mhm.
sometimes often. Like the one I read, like genuinely not heard that one. That one was a little better. Like a
Saturday.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a 7. I might use that at some point.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm gonna clip it, and so it will be a short. So,
Okay.
yeah, you can use it. Okay, so it's also not my joke, so of course you could use it,
Mhm.
steal other people's jokes because that's what jokes are is stolen from other people. Okay, so you said some days you're completely fine with EDS, with having EDS. Other days you can't leave your house.
Mhm.
Can you walk me through both days?
Sure. So the days where I'm not really affected, those don't happen very often. But basically, is I don't know. Have more energy. I can go throughout the day without having to think about what I'm doing and when.
Mhm.
Just a lot less pain, and I'm more comfortable when I. That's honestly usually when I push myself too
Mhm.
far because I feel great that day, but then the consequences come later.
Oh, okay.
The really bad days, usually is when a lot of my symptoms stack on top of each other. So a
Uh,
combination of the joint pain, um, some of the like dysautonomia symptoms like dizziness when I'm standing, things like that, just feeling really lightheaded,
mm.
and a lot of like the GI and like stomach pain problems. Usually those bad days are when everything stacks on top of each other and I just don't want to get out of the house. I feel awful. I don't want to see or talk to anybody.
Yeah.
It's probably the
Do you
worst.
still get out of the house when you have those days, or do you need to?
Um Kind of depends. I right now I'm at a pretty good point where my symptoms are somewhat better controlled,
Okay.
not non-existent, but they don't get that bad very often.
Mhm.
But honestly, from like October to May this past year, there was multiple times that I would just not go to school. I
Mm.
wouldn't do anything. If I had like a physical therapy appointment or a doctor's appointment, I'd go to those because I was seeking, like, help. I need somebody to, like, understand me, give me some tips, like, what else can we try? What else can we do?
Yeah.
So there was honestly, this past year, there was a lot of that. That's when a lot of my symptoms, like, peaked and got to their worst, but
Mm.
now as the summer's going on, they've calmed down a
And
bit. Yeah.
and is that time that calms them down, or like just treating them in a
Mhm.
different way, or?
I'd say a combination of I've dealt with them for so long, I get used to it.
Mm.
And then also just trying different things, different tests to see if there's something there. Usually there's not, but it's treatment with a lot of my other symptom well, a lot of my symptoms. Joint pain is a little iffy, but a lot of the other stuff is just trial and error with different medications or devices.
Mhm.
That's basically it.
So on a good day, what pain level are you at, or maybe even symptom level?
Um, I'd say I'm not gonna lie, shoulder is usually the worst, so that
Mm.
I always have some level of pain. I don't say symptoms get below a 2, but
Mm.
2 would be, like, a really good day, but again, I'm just so used to it that the pain starts and the symptoms start to affect me less the more
Mm.
that I've dealt with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. What's harder, the symptoms or never knowing when they're gonna come about?
Honestly, I'd say the latter half. Never n I 'cause a lot of what I deal with, we don't have answers. We don't really have a solid answer on what's going on and why my body does what it does.
Yeah,
And then again, I know things will get better eventually, I just don't know when that is, and I don't it is really hard sometimes to, like, just push through
yeah.
the day.
Is it challenging to, or does it hurt to walk?
It does sometimes. Right now, honestly, that's been joint pain has been a little bit higher.
Mm.
I've just been doing a lot more. I've been working and I've started working in a hospital, so I'm standing and walking for, like, 8 hours a day,
Yeah,
and then I go right to teaching for 3-ish hours. So my legs my whole body just gets fatigued really quickly if I don't take, like, a decent amount of break in between
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Staring at a computer screen for me
Mm.
is bad, and,
Mhm.
like, when I like, our my job ebbs and flows, and so during the super busy times, like, I get so fatigued, and it's like, man, I just I just need to lay down for a second.
Mhm.
And sounds like it's a similar thing for you. Like you just get tired.
Yeah, I basically just need to, like, have, like, a solid hour to just get away from reality. Just, like, lay in my bed, do nothing. Because honestly, sometimes sitting, if I sit for too long, that'll also cause symptoms, so I just literally need a break. I need to be by myself, I need to be comfortable, not talk to anybody for, like, a decent amount of time so I can, like, honestly, like, recharge and then go again.
So laying down is the best thing. It sounds like
Yeah.
to recharge.
Mhm.
If you were laying down and somebody were talking to you, I know you're introverted, so
Mm.
that's not that doesn't help you recharge your battery, your social battery. But would your symptoms just laying down and talking with somebody, would that still help your symptoms or
It's a great question. I don't know. I've never really had to do that.
yeah,
Usually if I'll just go upstairs into my room and
yeah.
I don't know. I live in a house with my 2 siblings and my parents, so we're all I don't know, 5 adults in a small house. We kind of all just learned to give each other space.
Yeah,
So, I don't know. I've usually when I do need my break or, like, gonna just go lay down, I'm never bothered until I wanna get up and do something.
fair,
Yeah.
okay. Um, well, and then stairs, you mentioned stairs, does that mess your symptoms or
Mm.
does that mess with you at all?
Yes, stairs are honestly worse than, like, physical activity sometimes, because a combination of, like, the joint pain and, like, needing to use, my knees, my hips, my ankles, um, but then also stairs bring a lot of my, like I get high heart rate, sometimes shortness of breath, dizziness, so that's usually honestly stairs are one of the worst things. Symptoms don't last as long, but they get, like, peak
Uh-huh.
for, like, a short amount of time, like, when I do stairs.
Ah,
Kind of interesting.
okay, interesting,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, okay, so here's another question. So I would that's interesting. So, as I even think about this question, I'm thinking, so would you consider yourself so I'd consider myself disabled because I use a wheelchair, I'm paralyzed.
Mhm.
Would you consider yourself able-bodied or disabled?
I say able-bodied.
Mhm.
I mean, I am. There's so much that I can do, I just have the consequences because I do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not really something I have ever really thought about because I don't know, I'm just so used to doing so much. I can still do what a lot of people can.
Yeah.
The effects are just different for me.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine medically it's considered a disability.
Mhm.
But you know, I've asked different people with different conditions what if they think theirs is a disability or not. So I was just curious from that standpoint. But one of the things I just thought of when we were thinking about when we were talking about stairs is I'm sure it's a lot easier for you to take elevators, correct?
If you can find an elevator, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so okay, man, there's a few different rabbit holes that I wanted to go want to go down here. But so let's say you're at a mall. Generally, malls only have one, maybe two elevators, and oftentimes they're in the back of the mall, like on the other complete other side or
Mhm.
whatever else. And so if you showed up to a location, maybe it's a big department store or something like that. If you showed up to a location and you had stairs in front of you, but then you had to walk, let's say 400 meters or 400 yards to an elevator, which would be easier for you?
I would just do whichever's closer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my question is which would take a harder toll on your body?
Stairs definitely take a harder toll on my body.
Okay.
However, I just don't wanna go out of my way to do something.
Yeah.
Because again, it's something I know I can do it,
Yeah.
so that's just I don't know, I'm just hard on myself. I
Yeah.
don't wanna make anything if I'll just go the more convenient route
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, you know, it just made me think about one of the things that I do, especially in like bigger buildings, is I can go up and down escalators in my wheelchair,
Mhm.
and like obviously the staff there gets mad because they think I'm gonna hurt myself or something like that. I never have, knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
But there are often times where there's just an escalator and then the
Mhm.
elevator's so much further away, and I'll hop on the escalator because I don't want to go up the elevator. So let me ask you this. This is back to my original thought of stairs. Do you take the elevator very often?
It really depends on where I am.
Okay.
Like, now in college, the buildings that I'm in are a lot bigger. I 1,000% will just take the elevator because I don't wanna walk up 30 plus stairs.
Yeah.
And same with, like, my job. I'd much rather go up an elevator than the stairs.
Yeah.
I'm not against stairs. It really just depends on, like, how many and, like, how far away, like, how convenient is one versus the other. I
Right.
take that into consideration a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. And just for the audience, you don't walk with a limp or anything like that, right?
I shouldn't, no, I still have like, my knee still gives me problems every now and then, so once I'm fatigued and my joints do have pain, I will unintentionally have a small limp, but
Yeah.
most of the time, no, I shouldn't.
But so in the I think the point that I'm leading to
Yeah,
is you look healthy, you look able-bodied,
yeah.
and here you are taking the elevator. I can imagine you've gotten some weird looks from people. Is that safe to say?
Elevators, honestly, no, because I know there's a lot of other people who do too.
Okay.
One of the interesting ones is I do have a handicap placard for my car.
Oh.
So, I don't use it all the time, but that's one of the things that I have, like, yes, I can physically walk, like, as far as I need to, but the convenience of being a little closer compared to having to park on the other side of the parking lot, that just, like, preserves my energy so I don't waste it getting to the place I need to be. I can save it so I don't get fatigued as fast.
Yeah.
But again, like, getting into or out of my car with other people, they're like, "What in the heck? What is she doing?"
Yeah, they think that you stole your grandmother's
Yeah.
cap sticker or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so I have a hatchback and I can walk a little bit.
Mhm.
And so I put my wheelchair in the back of my car and then get into my driver's seat. Um And so I don't need generally, I try to avoid the handicap spots,
Yeah.
because I don't need that blocked out the lined area
Yeah.
to get my wheelchair out. I could park in the back of a parking lot
Mhm.
and get my wheelchair out still fine, and if someone pulls up next to me, I can still get my wheelchair out, no problem.
Mhm.
So I would almost argue, so I also have a handicap sticker, also use it sparingly, like, especially, like, for example, the Renaissance Festival, like, all the parking is, like, grass or gravel, and so, like, it's like, yeah, parking a little closer is definitely a lot better than pushing through grass or gravel in a hilly area. It's
Mhm.
like that's just really hard.
Yeah.
But I and again, by saying this, I'm not trying to compare which is worse or whatever else,
Mhm.
but I would almost argue that you would benefit more from a handicap sticker than me because I don't have a problem with going long distances. I don't
Mhm.
have those joint pains. What are your thoughts are? And again, I'm not
That's
trying to like say who's more disabled or anything like that, but
no, that's honestly interesting and very, like, I I don't know. I don't know very many people with disabilities. Like, a lot of who I know are, like, my friends from dance.
yeah,
We do so much. So I've never really thought about that, but I honestly also kind of appreciate it because it's not something that I use to take advantage of.
sure,
I only really use it when I need to,
right,
or like that example you use, like through grass. For me, a big one is like in college campuses,
Mhm.
especially for, like, big events or games, I don't wanna have to walk half a mile to
Yeah,
get to my location.
yeah,
If I even, like, like, the slightest bit closer just makes it a little easier sometimes.
yeah. And so you don't necessarily get looks in elevators per se, but you do when you park in the handicapped spot.
Well, yeah, I'm a 19-year-old with a handicap placard. I don't think most people have seen that.
Have you ever been, like, confronted by somebody?
Not yet. I
Yeah.
hope I don't have to. So,
Yeah.
I hope it stays that way, but I don't know.
I hate to say this, but it is coming.
I'm sure it is. I'm
Uh,
surprised it hasn't come yet.
I'm actually kind of baffled it hasn't either because I have a friend who is paralyzed from the waist down.
Mhm.
I'm paralyzed. I parked in a handicap spot and like looked at my phone or something like that, and so is my friend. And maybe we'll have the door open or the window open, and obviously they can't see our legs. Like when I'm wearing pants, you really can't see anything wrong with my legs, right?
Mhm.
And so we've like almost all of my friends who are in wheelchairs have gotten confronted in the handicap seat or in the handicap spot. And it's funny, like we'll have different reactions. Like sometimes we'll just grab our chair and start getting out of the car, and
Mhm.
like they'll be instantly apologetic. You know, interesting one. I don't know that I've told this on the podcast is, um, I used to walk on crutches back in the day when I was little, and I went to church by myself when I was on crutches. And you know, in church, sometimes you stand, sometimes you sit, whatever else, and they kind of direct you on sitting or standing.
Mhm.
And there was one time where I stood up and I can't stand for that long, so I sat back down, and I had somebody like tell me like, "Oh, you don't have respect for God," or something like that. And I just pointed to my crutches, and this guy instantly felt horrible about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I don't know. It looked like you had a thought.
Yeah, that is honestly that I've something I've done too. Not quite the same scenario, but, like,
Mhm.
if I don't need to be standing the whole time, if I have a chair, chances are I'm sitting because it's just so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then kind of back to the handicap placard, the only time I've ever been, like, confronted is there's one time I was in I don't wanna get too much into it, but I was in a car accident. So, when the
Oh.
police officer came up to me, he saw that I had the handicap placard and was like, "You shouldn't be driving. Why do you like, if you have this, like, why are you driving?"
What?
Yeah.
Wait, if you have the handicap sticker or EDS?
No, the handicap sticker, they saw that, and since I don't know if it was because of
What?
how I looked, they were like again, it doesn't make any sense to me, but they said that. They were like, "You shouldn't be driving if you need that."
What?
I know. They have no correlation with each other,
Yeah,
but that
right.
was an interesting one.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've been in a car where one of my I suppose a friend at the time, this person would drive with their head. Like
Oh,
they had contraptions of like if you breathe in, that's gas, and if you suck, it's brake or something like that.
yeah.
And it worked. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was in danger or anything like that.
No, the technology they have these days are pretty crazy.
Super crazy.
Mhm.
Um, have you do you ever like as far as like making plans, do you get are you apprehensive to make plans because you're not sure how things are gonna be, or
Yes and no. That kinda depends on, like, what kind of plans they are. Like, for something with, like, working or helping out with, like, subbing for, like, teaching, something like that, I would much rather just be helpful. They're asking me for help, I am physically able to, so I would do that. But
Mhm.
when it comes to things more like friends and stuff like that, I like to make plans, but I will tell them it's not a hard yes or no.
Mm,
I would love to, but let me tell you closer if I am able to, if I'm, like, comfortable enough with
yeah.
doing it or not.
And is it predictable enough that you can maybe like tell like couple days out that like you're gonna be good or bad, or
Not really. Sometimes I like to think so, but at the same time, it change every single day is a little different. I
Interesting.
never really know. I could be perfectly fine one day, and then 2 days later, I haven't done anything crazy out of my normal, and I could be so much worse, or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's super still unpredictable for me. Learning things that are, like, things that make symptoms worse or things that make symptoms better, but it's still trial and error and very
Yeah.
unpredictable.
Yeah. Interesting. Um, does do you ever or like and again if you don't want to go and talk about this specifically, but like I'm always curious about like the mental health and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, I can see a world where maybe I would feel bad if I had to cancel plans, and then that would, you know, get to me mentally or something like that. I
Mhm.
don't know what that is, a dust or anyway, sorry. Yeah, so I guess like like does that affect you mentally when like you have to cancel plans or
I'm usually I usually don't cancel plans. I will usually just push myself to do it.
okay.
But yes, I'm the type of person, like, I like to give people answers right away, like, and then I like to, like, stick to what I say. So I would definitely feel bad if I had to change my answer.
Yeah.
I don't let it happen often, but I don't let it get to me too much, but it's definitely like a bummer for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, have you or maybe someone that you know with EDS, like what kind of like I guess from a mental health standpoint, what is that like? Having EDS and not knowing the day to day and all that. And
Mhm.
again, if you don't want to talk about this, I'm fine. We can move on. But
I'll talk about it a little bit. I'm not the greatest at it, but for me, it's honestly more annoying and frustrating at
mm,
this point. Earlier on, it definitely affected me more because, like, there was everything was an unknown. My symptoms were an unknown, like, I don't know, everything. We didn't have solid answers for anything. We didn't have a solid treatment for anything with the trial and error. So it definitely did used to affect me more. Like, I was more anxious and like upset about it.
mhm,
I'm now at the point where it's just annoying. Like, sucks that I have to deal with it. However, I know that I have to deal with it and I'll be fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Um, you've mentioned a couple times on the podcast. You mentioned to me when we were talking before the podcast that you're a pretty reserved person when it comes to talking about this.
Hmm.
Yet here you are on a
Hmm.
podcast talking about it. Can you share why you decided to want to be on a podcast and share it?
Um, I don't know. It's something that I've thought about more recently. Like, I kind of didn't for the longest time didn't think like I'd say easily 90% of the people I know don't know most of what I deal with. And I also know there's a lot of people out there who are where I was like 2 years ago. Like, they're just at the very beginning of
Yeah.
like their diagnosis and their journey. So I do think it is very important to share everybody's experiences because everybody's different
Mhm.
in everything. Their how it presents in them, their experiences with healthcare. So kind of just, I don't know, something new that's, I don't know, get me out there, but then at the same time be able to share more about my experiences and then maybe other people can, I don't know, take something from it, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. That's honestly a huge goal of the podcast is to have people share their stories, and there's somebody out there that's experiencing it as well, and if nothing else can relate to it in some
Mhm.
ways. So yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, even though you don't you don't want to you don't talk about it a lot with other people. You said 90% of the people you'd say about,
Mhm.
uh, don't know that you have EDS?
Either don't know that I have it or they don't really know what that means or what all it entails.
And, like, day to day, maybe they don't know what you're going through.
Day to day, I'd say there's maybe like 5 people total that actually know what all I go through every
Okay.
day.
And can you talk about that? Like, what makes you not wanna open up?
Um, I kinda just learned it as we kind of went through, like, my journey through high school and trying to figure things out. I didn't have my EDS diagnosis until, like, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
So, again, the unknown for so long, especially with being a part of a team, I don't wanna make my problems anybody else's problems.
Yeah.
Look, growing up, I learned to be a team player and to, like, just push through. So, I don't I don't want to also, part of it is they just don't understand how it affects me.
Mm,
Yes, it may hurt, but I am strong enough to push through. Just because I have symptoms doesn't mean I have to completely shut down and stop doing what I'm doing.
yeah. And so it's almost like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like if you did tell more people, they'd start treating you with kid gloves?
Yeah,
Interesting.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so, one of the other things, correlations that I've drawn to my own life is I'm colorblind. And,
Okay.
so I'm red-green colorblind, and obviously that's not something that people see, right?
Mhm,
They see my physical disability over anything else, and so, back in, like, when I was a kid, I'd tell other kids that I'm colorblind, and they'll be like, "Well, what color's this?" I'll say, "Black," and then they'll say, "Well, what color's this?" And then I'll go through, I don't know, 5 colors, and I can tell most colors.
mhm,
And then they'd point to a color that I can't get, and then people would tell me that I'm lying. And they'd be like, "You're not colorblind, you can see all these other colors," and it's like, "Okay." So, like, in my adult life, people don't really ask that very often, but, like, when and if they did, and, like, for a while, even as a kid, people would ask me, like, "What color is this?" And it's like, if I don't know you, if you're not one of my friends asking me in, like, good faith,
mhm.
I don't wanna get into it.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
and so it sounds like EDS is maybe somewhat similar. I I guess the other thing, do so Jake Counts was on my podcast, and he was run over by a train, and he doesn't care if people he doesn't care about talking about it with people, but like the amount of questions that people have, he doesn't want to spend 10-15 minutes answering all their questions with
Mhm.
every single person that they come into.
Yeah.
Is that part of it as well, maybe?
Yeah, I've learned to just give vague answers because
Mm,
if I don't, there will be more questions or I'll have to go so far in depth that, like, that's when it gets to the point of people just start feeling bad for me. I don't need you to feel bad for me. I'm okay.
right.
But yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing, so I'm a pretty positive person.
Mhm.
And so, like, if I didn't tell you, like, about the head issues that I'm experiencing, you probably wouldn't know, because I don't want to, like, almost like, I mean, everybody's been around that one person that just, like,
Drink.
drains the
Yes,
life out of the room,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't wanna do that.
No,
And, are you the same way?
1000% for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's interesting. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, I This is an interesting question that ChatGPT helped me, with, and I'm curious what, like, like, this question, and the lead up is horrible. It's like, "Hey, you should go see this great movie," and then people watch it, it's like so. But, so this is either gonna like, be a really fascinating, question, or just completely flop. So I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Okay.
Let's see. If your body sent you a text message every morning telling you exactly how today would go, would you wanna read it?
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. I'm just so used to the unknown. I don't enjoy it,
Yeah,
obviously, but so I think having some clarity or understanding,
Yeah.
I would feel so much better, like, everything wouldn't I feel like I wouldn't be affected as much because I wouldn't know what to expect.
Yeah. Okay. But it sounds like even if you knew what to expect, you've been trying to carry on with your life and
Mhm.
do those things.
Yeah.
So, what would that change? Like, let's say you got that text message in the morning, like, "Hey, today's gonna be really rough."
Mhm.
How what are you doing different?
That's a great question. I don't really know. I guess I would just take I don't know, take better care of myself isn't the right word
Yeah.
because like, I don't know, I try my very hardest to do my very best every day to keep my symptoms at where they are and not get them worse or
Yeah.
anything like that. But I feel like just the aspect of knowing makes it a little easier.
Mm,
Like, it's hard I don't know a great way to explain it, but, like, again, with I'm used to dealing with the symptoms,
yeah.
so when they occur, it's fine,
Yeah.
but I don't know when that is going to be. So if I know, like, in advance, like, "Oh, it's gonna be a heavier symptom day,"
Mhm.
I will take it easier on my schedule or something like that,
Yeah.
just so I know not to overpush myself,
Yeah.
or then maybe think of, like, what are some treatments or some options that'll make some of my symptoms better.
Mm.
That would 1,000% be very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And the you kind of hit on this, but my first thought when I heard like when I heard you say that, my first thought was like, well, you were talking about pushing yourself, and on days that maybe you think the symptoms are okay, you'll push yourself the normal amount, let's say. And if you knew that your symptoms were gonna be bad that day, maybe you wouldn't push yourself before the symptoms
Mhm.
gets too bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, if you could ask your future self one question, what would it be? That's a
Hmm,
really tough question.
that's a
So if you
really
don't have an
deep
answer,
one.
we can move on. But yeah, I'm curious.
Um, One question.
I got
Mm,
another one if you want.
yeah, I don't have, like, a solid, like, this question, but
Mhm.
probably something related to, like, how are things going? I don't know, like,
Yeah.
what's the difference? Like, how much do things change? Have things changed over time?
Mm.
I don't know. That's not a great answer, but I don't have a really good answer for that one
Sure.
either.
Yeah, no worries. Would you wanna know if things were bad?
Um, well, I don't really know a definition of bad. So,
Wait, you don't know what?
I don't know like a definition of bad, so I don't really know, but
Sure.
I kind of like the question earlier. Expecting it makes it a little easier and a little less
Mhm.
like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a little easier, a little more expected.
Yeah.
I find I'm used to the unexpected, so expecting something is like fantastic in my brain sometimes.
Yeah. So if another kind of hypothetical that's kind of fun, is if medicine solved EDS and you were cured tomorrow, what's the first thing you would do?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd probably just go spend a whole day out doing something.
Mm,
I don't know what. It could be anything. Walking around, just doing errands, um, taking a great dance class that is not painful. Something that I can just be out and do something for the whole day. That would be so different. But I am also like the type of person who I like to have something going on. So probably something like that.
yeah. Uh, yeah, that's a good answer. Almost like, there's a level I talk a lot about gratefulness on the podcast, and it's like you don't know what you don't know until you have it, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, all the joint pain that you say that you have, and you're basically constantly at it too, and it's like just appreciating that that doesn't exist anymore almost.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I've talked to Mozzie about, he's paralyzed from the waist down, about if we could get if we would be if we would want to be cured overnight from our paralysis. And he was kind of saying, like, it depends, because like if I could just feel everything again without having like all any of the muscles and having to do the rehab and all that,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, like that seems tough. And then, I've built my life around adaptive sports. And
Mhm.
it's like, I wouldn't be able to play wheelchair tennis competitively ever again. And so it's like, I don't know, that's a much harder question than yes, you know.
Mhm. Yes, and, like, all those points are great. For
Mhm.
me specifically, I grew up in, like, and I know what it is like, well, ish, to live a normal life. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm still somewhat normal, but I feel things to a much higher level. So I feel like just like being cured for me is so much different than any other person.
Yeah.
But for me, it's an easy yes because I know that this is not something that has always been a problem for me. It's a connected, like it's a genetic. Well, I don't know if it's a genetic disorder, but it's something that I was born with.
Yeah.
But I didn't have symptoms until much later in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I were in your shoes, it would be an easy yes.
Mhm.
For and obviously it's two we're talking apples and oranges. It's not really a comparable thing, but it's just an interesting perspective from the paralysis side
Yeah.
to the EDS side. Um, so let's talk about healthcare. Um, that was a big thing that you wanted to discuss on the podcast.
Mhm.
Um, I I have questions, but I kind of want to open it up to you to kind of take it wherever direction you want to go.
Okay. I mean, I've been through every almost every little, like, hospital system. I've been through so many doctors, so many providers. I've had some really great ones, but I've also had some really bad ones. Um, with EDS, you just have to find who works for you, like, which provider believes you, who, like, is willing to work with you, because you won't find all of those. You might have 3 doctors who are awful and don't do anything for you, but then you will find somebody. So you have to just keep it's weird because, like, I don't wanna be, like, a patient who just doctor hops because I can, but at the same time, you have to find the person who works for you, because again, everybody's different, every provider, some people will only focus on one thing. If it's not black and white, they don't know what to do with you, so find that person who does.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned and you went you mentioned this quick, but you mentioned find somebody who believes you.
Mhm.
Can you like that I think for me and a lot of people listening, it seems baffling. Like, you have to find a provider who believes you?
Yeah. Um, I've gone through a lot of providers, especially before I had, like, an actual diagnosis of EDS,
Mm,
like, with all of, like, my different, like, I don't know, dislocations, injuries, like, sports injuries. They A lot of, like, testing that I do is not clear,
mm,
or it doesn't show anything, but that does not mean that there's nothing going on. So for a lot of people, especially at first, they would just call it anxiety and send me to a psychologist.
oh,
So I've gone through that, way too many times than I should have. So, yeah, I've unfortunately gone through that way too much, and hopefully other people haven't or don't have to, but I've gotten to the point where I have found a couple providers who do work and who do believe me, and those are usually ones who have had experience with other patients with hypermobility or EDS or even just dance, because a lot of providers don't understand the sport of dance.
Uh,
It's not like football, but it's still very taxing to our bodies. Like, we do so much. It is a sport. But again, some people just don't understand the difference with that.
right.
So you have to find the people who are at least willing to listen and try. If they don't have an answer, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I'm not with the healthcare, I've gone to the point I don't need a solid, this is what's going on, this is what's gonna fix it. That doesn't bother me as long as they are willing to explore options and ideas and try things. That's what's been very helpful.
So when it comes to doctors believing you, I can see like before you were diagnosed with EDS,
Mhm.
a doctor kind of saying, "Oh, go to a psychologist or whatever," right? I can see that happening,
Mhm.
but since your diagnosis, you now know to tell doctors, "Hey, I have EDS." Do you still get doctors who don't believe you?
Sometimes more so than not, it's not that they straight up don't believe me, they just don't know why I have
Yeah.
the symptoms, so they don't know what to do with that.
Mm,
So, it's like GI is a big one.
mhm,
A lot of there's not that many different, like, GI symptoms. I mean, there is, like, a handful, but it's not like it could be one of 100 different things.
mhm,
A lot of symptoms overlap with other things,
mhm,
but my symptoms are also vague enough that it's not clear one way or another.
mhm.
Same with testing, different lab tests, scopes, like imaging, nothing is clear yes or no, or it'll just be clear, but I still have these symptoms. What do we do with it then?
Yeah. Yeah, do you if you don't mind, again, we can move on if you don't wanna talk about this, but you had mentioned something that has helped out with GI in the text.
Mhm.
Are you comfortable talking about that?
Sure, that was actually a very interesting thing. It was called IB-Stim. It was a little device that goes behind your ear, and then there's 4, like, tiny needle electrodes that go on a couple different, like, facial nerves that connect to your ear. One of them is, like, the vagus nerve. That's honestly the only one that I know the name of and what it does.
Yeah.
It it's throughout your whole like, your brain, your goes down to your stomach. It basically like, it helps with, like, controlling heart rate and, like, digestion and pain. So, basically what it did is it kind of, like, almost rewired or retrained that nerve to calm down and stop overfiring.
Uh,
Because that's what we this was, like, treatment trial number 5 at this point, like, we've tried so many other things, so we were just trying to see what would help.
yeah.
And again, it's one of the I mean, there's a couple other nerves that it helps too, but that's one of the ones that, like, it goes to, like, your nervous system, your digestive system. So, trying to refire it, retrain it to do the proper thing
Mhm.
was surprisingly very helpful.
Mm, interesting. So
Mhm.
you were able to retrain the nerve.
Basically, that's kind of, like, the easiest way to explain it.
Sure.
Um, it's I don't really know. I don't fully understand the science behind it because
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't understand the full thing. It was basically designed for, like, pediatric patients with either, like, IBS or functional dyspepsia.
Yeah.
Again, because it's kind of one of those things that it kind of falls under the category of gut-brain interactions. So, obviously, everything's connected, but that's one of the nerves and, like, and one of the problems, like, it's not a structural problem.
Uh-huh.
It's something with the way my brain perceives what's going on. So that's why that, like, nerve stimulation was able to, like, say, "Hey, you don't need to do this. It's fine." And then it learned to just, like, decrease the pain and over time and symptoms. They weren't completely gone, but they improved a significant amount.
Wow. Okay. That's fantastic. It's interesting because with my head issues, I've had to explore various things too. It's almost like I'm shooting from the hip, right?
Yeah.
To figure out what works and what helps and all that. Um, I have had so there's something there's a band for nausea that it's
Yeah,
like a watch
I've seen those.
and you put it on your wrist and it kind of shocks your nerve and it's supposed to go to your vagus nerve and like tamper the nausea you get on cruises and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I've been using that, and oh my gosh, does it help out with my symptoms.
Yeah,
The first time I put it on, my vision instantly got better. And it's like, how
that's
is this
great.
affecting my vision? Like, how is it improving my vision? And then like the nausea that I sometimes get, like that that gets better. And it's like, man, I'm just learning so much about the vagus nerve,
Mhm.
and I didn't even know that the vagus nerve was connected to GI before you said that.
Mhm.
That's interesting. GI for those that don't know, I think the majority of people would know, but
I hope so.
well, it's gastrointestinal, right?
Yeah,
Something along those lines.
yeah.
Gastrointestines, or I don't know, whatever. But okay. Um, I had one other thought. I sometimes cross my fingers to when whoever I'm speaking to outside or inside the podcast, I'll cross my fingers and try to remember the idea based on my crossed fingers. You were talking, we're talking about the medical system and doctors not believing you, and then you're talking about the optic nerve. What's it called again?
The device, it's
Yeah.
called IB-Stim.
Does it go in your skin or does it just like hang out
Um,
outside?
the device itself, it's basically just on, like, a piece of sticky tape that they stick to your ear, but there's, tiny electrodes
Right.
that, like, just go underneath the skin, kind of, like, they're very
Okay.
tiny, so it's not like something stuck inside of you, but it's, like,
Right.
just, like, small and sharp enough that it gets like, it reaches those specific nerves without, like, stimulating anything else, if that makes
Interesting.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Going back to healthcare, um, what can you tell me about like an appointment that you'll never forget?
There's a handful of them. One of them, definitely for sure. This was before I had my official EDS diagnosis. This was like probably the second biggest injury I had. I had torn my shoulder. At this point, we were on doctor, I believe, number three. Again, because tests weren't clear, symptoms weren't clear. We've tried so many different things, don't know what's going on. So we were trying to find somebody else who might have a different view or a different set of ideas.
Mhm.
We went to this provider. It was for my shoulder. This was at this point almost 7 months after I already injured myself. Um, we went for an eval, and
How long ago, by the way?
um, injury was back in like June 23. 22, I think.
Okay.
So then this doctor was like January-ish 23.
So the story was like 1 or 2 years before your diagnosis.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, I told him the same thing I told all of the other doctors, like, "This is what's going on. This is what happened. This is what's going on. This is what we've tried. Can we do some other imaging? What else is there to do?"
Mhm.
Um, he basically just said, I think part of it was this was the second doctor from this organization that we saw. So some of it was probably like he didn't want to go against what his colleague was saying.
Mm,
I unfortunately think was part of it. But he was like, I don't know what's going on. You're fine. You don't really seem to have much going on." He put me on, some, I don't know, some anti-anxiety medication and sent me to, like, a psych referral, and
Oh,
that's it. He basically said, "If if you need me, you can call me, but I think you'll be fine."
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It okay. Wow. What did you have a conversation with them? Like, "Hey, there's something more. This I don't agree with your referral," or was there any pushback that you gave them, or
At that point, not a lot of pushback, because again, I was 15.
yeah.
I didn't know a lot about myself or much about the healthcare system.
Mhm.
I'm mm, gotten a little more loose on this, but I doctors are, they should be at least, the professionals of that field. I am going them to them because they should be able to help me out.
Yeah.
So I did not really question it. I didn't love it, but at the same time, I wasn't gonna argue with him because he should know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Gosh, there's so much overlap with what I'm going through and my head issues. Just a quick tangent. So I've been seeing a neurosurgeon,
Mhm.
and so I have a shunt in my head. I don't know
Okay.
if you're familiar.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know, when I was born, I had something called hydrocephalus. And hydrocephalus is a buildup of fluid in the brain. And if you don't get it taken care of, you get brain damage. And if you still
Mhm.
don't get it taken care of, you die. And so the shunt is something that goes inside the middle of your brain and pumps fluid out of your brain so that it relieves the pressure and your brain functions properly, right?
Mhm.
So one of the first things that I thought that might be causing these head issues is my shunt. And so I got an MRI.
Mhm.
They looked at the MRI and they said, "Nope, it looks like your shunt's still you're fine." Which, by the way, my shunt's been broken since the 7th grade, and they've seen it in X-rays and stuff like that. And the doctor basically was like, "Well, if you're not having symptoms, then your head's pumping just fine now, and so we don't need to worry about it." And
Mhm.
so I saw this neurosurgeon about my shunt. And the neurosurgeon's like, I doubt this is a problem, but you do have a cyst. It's called a Rathke's cleft cyst.
I actually have one too.
Do you really?
I do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
I know.
Yeah, right. But no, so a Rathke's cleft cyst is a very common cyst that you
Mhm.
get from what I've gathered when you're a baby,
Yeah.
and it often goes asymptomatic, and people go on with their life. So I was referred to another neurosurgeon
Mhm.
who was familiar with cysts, and his first thought was maybe not first thought, but he basically doesn't think like I did a bunch of other tests, and it basically was ruled out that the cyst it's touching my optic nerve, but I'm not I'm not exuding any of the symptoms for it being like overbearing on that optic nerve or
Yeah.
anything like that. So long story short, this neurosurgeon tells me, he goes, "I bet if we replace your shunt, I bet that would fix your problems." And I said, "Okay, what what do you think? What gives you that inclination?"
Mhm.
And he goes, basically, he said, "I don't know. It's just a hunch, but I really think that this will fix your problems." And I'm like, "Okay, so there's nothing in the MRI. There's no symptoms that I'm exuding." I even asked him, I said, "So have you seen other patients that have had a shunt replacement that have the same symptoms I do?" And he said, "No," basically. He goes, "Oh, it manifests in a whole bunch of different ways, so no, not really." And it's like, why on earth would I spend thousands of dollars on a surgery? And then I asked him this too. I said, "What are the chances of complications in a surgery like this?"
Mhm.
And he said, 1%. of complications. It's like 1 or 2%. And that but that seems like a low number, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, that's between out of 100 people, that's between 1 or 2 people out of 100.
Mhm.
And there's millions of people out there, and and
Okay,
and
that is
and
fair.
there's millions of surgeries that
Yes.
happen with shunts, and it's like, that's a pretty staggering that's probably thousands of people that impacts,
Mhm.
and it's like, so you're operating on not knowing for sure if this will fix anything, and there's a chance of complications happening. And the complications, I can't articulate them back, but they were not good.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, I man, I can. You came on the podcast at the right time because I can totally resonate with your frustrations because I'm going through that right now, and there's still not like a clear diagnosis at this
Mm.
point. So
I would also just like to add, this is not like I have beef with any person, any medical provider.
sure,
It's just like I honestly sometimes don't know if they understand that's how they come across to people.
that's true. That's true.
Like I
Yeah.
don't have beef with every doctor. Like they do great things,
Yes.
but they're not the right provider for every patient.
Yeah.
So I think the patients also need to know that.
That is a great ad because I'm sure you and I both have stories where we could share that we could share with amazing doctors and all that. Here's the other. I'm gonna talk gripes. Uh, Another gripe that I have is I asked the majority of doctors that I've saw. I've probably seen a dozen so far. um, what what can I do outside of like surgery or like prescription meds or health and nutrition wise? What can I do that will help my symptoms? And 90% of the doctors said nothing. And the doctors that did, I tried what they suggested, and maybe it's placebo, but it helped.
Yeah.
And it's like, gosh, that's so frustrating. But anyway, yeah, this isn't a bash on medical. I'm truly appreciative of the
Yes.
people who've tried to look at me and help me out, and there are some great medical professionals out there. It's kinda what you said. It's about finding the right one.
Mhm.
So, um, okay, so another interesting point, before you were diagnosed with EDS, did you ever leave the doctor's office thinking that you're crazy?
No. Honestly, before this, I was a very healthy child.
Uh,
Like, I only went to, like, primary care for, like, a yearly follow-up. Like,
mhm,
I was never sick, never had any problems.
uh,
So, I didn't really have much experience until again, this, like, domino effect, like, just,
yeah,
like, early, like, early in high school, and then everything kinda just went downhill, and now I have doctor's appointments almost every day of the week.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. So there's never been a moment of like, maybe I'm wrong and instead of the doctor? 'Cause you had said that you had put a lot of faith in doctors
Mhm.
early on.
Yes, or some of those initial appointments, yes, they definitely made me second guess myself.
Mhm.
I have since learned that I know my body way better than they do, clearly.
Yeah.
Um, but that is something that I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting journey. Then okay, so tell me about a good story with a doctor.
I have a handful. Um, Most of them at this point, it's not like doctors are miracles. You can't
Yeah.
solve a problem with a magic wand.
Yeah.
But finally finding a doctor who has had experience with um hypermobility and EDS, also understands dance because that was really important in my life. It was important to find a provider who at least somewhat understood it.
Yeah.
This provider had like a background in dance. She just believed me.
Mm,
Like she knows what the other medical providers have said. She knows what the tests say, but what I'm saying is more important.
Mm,
So, again, if there's not a magic answer, that's perfectly fine. I've been to her for a handful of different stuff, so I don't have, like, one specific, but across the board, just listens to everything, listens to the whole story, takes into consideration different tests and other people's opinions, but takes what my experiences they're, like, a much more important part of
mm,
the story, and then trying different things, trying different imaging. If there's something, then we know what to do. If there's not, symptoms could explain a couple different things, and then explaining that, and then also different treatment things that we can try. Like, I don't know if this is going to help, but
mm,
we can try this. If that doesn't work, here's plan B.
mhm.
That's honestly the best and the most rewarding appointments.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's probably the most discouraging of, like, what can I do? And they say nothing.
Mhm,
It's like, yeah, but I'm not gonna accept nothing as an answer. Like, I want to do something to try to get better
mhm.
and yeah, and reduce my symptoms and all that. So, yeah. Um, so talk to me about I think one of the reasons why I have this podcast is community. Like, I really want to land, like, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. And I think that's so important. And I have a Discord, which I don't know if you know what that is. It's
I
basically
know
a
what it is, I don't have it.
yeah, yeah. So I have a Discord. Nobody other than my friends have joined it, but I have a Discord for the Forward podcast, and I think if the podcast grew to a certain size, I think it would be so cool to have like different communities of like a community of EDS, a community of spina bifida, or whatever else. Um, ha, ha, ha- I how is community impacted you? Like having your friends, your friend who has EDS, and
Mhm,
being able to almost exchange stories. Like for spina bifida, it is similar, but there are a lot of different shapes and sizes. Let's say,
mhm,
and so it's very rare that I'd meet someone that's exactly like me,
yeah.
but we can still share like those commonalities. So
Mhm.
can you talk about that?
Yes, very similar with the EDS. There's no two-person that have these same experiences, but some things might be similar or different experiences you can share. Um, I I have a large community of good people. I'm just selective with who I share what with.
Yeah,
So that's more so like family and then like really, really close friends. But honestly, that's one of the few things that keeps me going is knowing that they either understand or have a good enough understanding to be compassionate about it,
yeah,
yet not belittle me. Like, you don't need to, like, I don't know, kind of what we were saying earlier, like, the mood doesn't need to go down.
yeah,
However, they know I am going to do whatever is best for me, and if something needs to change, that's completely understandable.
yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that's great. So have you ever? It doesn't sound like you're online on like social media much or anything like that. But like, are there? Have you connected with any online communities about EDS?
I have not. No, I am not super active on social, but also there's a lot on there there's can be great things, but there's also a lot of negative things to come about it. So I kind of just I don't know. I've had to learn things myself, so I'm used to that. And again, like especially like depends a lot of those there are certain groups for like areas. So I do believe there is like a EDS like Facebook group for like the Cincinnati area.
Oh,
But a lot of them are just general across the world
Yeah.
or like the states or something. I don't know. So I just don't tend to find it that important for me
Yeah.
because I again, everybody's experience is so different. So something that worked for them is not gonna be the same for me.
Sure.
So I've kind of just, like, learned that over time. Yes, it is sometimes great to hear about different things, especially for, like, the beginning stages and getting an understanding of EDS,
Mhm.
but there's also just too many negative parts and too many variables, so I just haven't really gotten into it very much.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I was I don't think I've really linked up. Like, there's a spina bifida group in Cincinnati. I haven't really linked up with them, but like I don't know, a decade ago or something, I was on Facebook looking for a spina bifida group just to see what was out there. And I didn't stay for very long because I didn't like a lot of the dialogue that was happening.
Mhm.
I think oh, it's pretty easy to get in a community and say, "Woe is me," and then people comment like, "Oh yeah, it sucks," or whatever else, and it's like, "Man, I don't
Mm,
want that,"
yeah,
you know? So, yeah, that that makes sense. Okay, so I wanna read you some assumptions,
okay,
and I want you to say true, false, or it depends,
okay.
and then elaborate. So, this is um, I don't know. I guess you could say one of the fun segments because I really like these because you can kind of discuss the nuances about them. So I think I know what you're gonna say here, but patients usually know their own bodies better than doctors.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Um, very true, but I do think that is an area that people have to learn over time.
Mhm.
I'm have certainly, and I still am learning. You have it takes a lot of thinking, but you just keep like thinking about it, not to the point of like you're obsessing over it and like that's a problem, but like just being able to understand your body and what's going on and what might be the reasons why. That's very important, especially with trying to explain and have doctors, like, or physicians understand.
Yeah.
If you don't understand your own body, how can you explain that to somebody else?
Mhm.
So, definitely true, but a learning curve for most people that you have to, like, work on it and you get better, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I would say yes, that statement's true as well. But there is some things about my body, for example, that I don't know that
Yeah.
doctors are specialists in and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know, like there is kind of like a gray area of like, you know, sometimes they
Mhm.
do, but I mean, overall, probably not.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that you say that, I can definitely like, I agree that depends, but again, it kinda just depends on the situation, like I understand my experiences more than they do, but do
Yeah.
they understand more of the science and can explain what's going on and why? Sometimes, sure, yes.
Yeah. The next one is looking healthy usually means someone is healthy.
No,
Yeah.
that's a false. Um, again, different for everybody, but I think most people would say I look like a very healthy, active person. But again, I'm gotten really good at masking my symptoms and not letting people know everything. So that's a very false statement.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The healthcare system rewards speed more than listening.
It is built that way for sure, yes.
Mhm,
Um this I don't really understand like the whole medical system because I'm not a part of it, but like there are definitely at least certain places like they have 10 minutes scheduled per patient.
mhm,
So a lot of the physicians will follow that.
mhm,
But you will also find some who are willing to take the time.
mhm.
So that's yes, it's built that way, but you can find the physicians who prioritize your care over the time they're supposed to use.
Yeah, I during figuring out my head issues, I've had doctors who are almost dismissive,
Mhm.
and then some doctors who, like, really, like, kind of explain and stuff like that. I went to a hormone doctor because the cyst is next to my pituitary gland,
Mhm.
and he comes in, he goes, "Why do you think you're here?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a
Mhm.
that I'm a little bit on my on my toes a little bit, like, that's an interesting approach." But,
Mhm.
yeah, like, it is interesting because, like, I don't know, that, like, there are some doctors that, like, you ask a question and they'll answer it so quickly or so medically that you don't quite understand, and so you have a follow-up question, and they just it you just get the feeling they wanna rush out of the room.
Yeah.
And I don't know this for certain, but I'd be curious, like, timing the doctors that I've liked and the doctors that I haven't liked, how much time they spend with me.
Mhm.
And I would imagine it's probably the same amount of time, maybe a little bit more, but they still, like, the good doctors really listen and all that. So I don't know. Okay, so this is a no-brainer, but I'm still gonna read it. People with invisible disabilities should feel comfortable using accessible accommodations.
Yes. That
Yeah.
is that's something honestly still personally working on. 1,000% use what helps you, um, but at the same time, kind of back to what I said a lot like way earlier in the episode, I know what my body is capable of, so I don't want to I'm still struggling with using the things that I know will help, but
Mm,
people will then see that and then probably treat me differently.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Going back to the accessible parking, um, I feel like one of the reasons why people might call you out or confront you for parking in a handicapped spot and perceivably not being disabled is, I think they're coming from a good place because you you should be saving that spot for someone who actually needs it, right?
Mhm.
And that's their mindset going into it. But I'm curious, and I don't know that I have an answer for this, but if there was somebody going along and sees someone who is perceivably not disabled, who they think is not disabled, do you think that person should call that person out or maybe confront them in n or even, like, just bring it up in a non-confrontational way, which I don't know how that's possible to do that non-confrontationally,
Mhm.
like, you're confronting somebody,
Mhm.
but it's still, like, a good like, if someone was in a handicap spot and didn't need it,
Mhm.
like, they deserve that awkward confrontation,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't know if there is a good way of going about confronting somebody. What do you think?
I don't know, that's a hard one. I think just straight up confrontation, I feel like is awkward and hard for anybody,
Yeah.
but I think it would be respectful to ask, like, "Hey, can you just do you mind explaining to me why you are using this spot?" Or something like that,
Yeah.
what like, what is your reasoning?
Yeah.
I think as long as they say it in, like, a respectful tone and aren't, like, demanding,
Yeah.
if you ask, like, "Are you willing to explain this to me?" I think that is can be reasonable.
Yeah. It can be. Um,
I think "can" is a strong word. Not
yeah,
always,
right.
but
Yeah, I'm generally opposed to somebody just leading with, like, why are you in a wheelchair or something like that.
yeah.
I don't mind if people ask me because I didn't really go through anything traumatic or anything like that, right? Um, but I think that's a slippery slope to ask them, explain why you're in a wheelchair or why you're in a handicap spot. You know, I almost wonder, the other thing is, like, that person who thinks that is automatically thinking ill will of that person.
Mhm.
And I think it's maybe a good practice to just to go through life thinking the best of people.
Yeah.
Like, if I saw that, I don't know, even as a person in a wheelchair, I don't know that I'd call them out. I might, because I'm in a wheelchair and I'm visually disabled, I might be able to slip in like, "Oh, hey, I have spina bifida. What do you have?" And just like casually bring it up
Mhm.
to see what would happen. But most people can't do that.
Yeah.
So I generally think that erring on the side of like this person is using it and they're an honest person, so go about your business and
Mhm.
not even confronting. I think that's probably the best way of going.
Oh, I agree, but I feel like where I was going with my side is, like, if like, I don't want to be confronted, but
Yeah.
for th there's people that do, and they are people who are very, like, opinionated and whatever. I
Yeah.
feel like it would be more respectful for those people to just ask than straight up being like, "What are you doing? Like, you're wrong," or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Well, and usually that's how they do it. Like, "Oh, man, you're parking in a handicap spot, I see," or something very aggressive like that.
Mhm.
So, I like being more inquisitive and curious about it is probably a much
Yeah.
better way of going.
Yeah.
Next one is pain is impossible to truly understand unless you've lived it.
Um, I don't really know what that one.
How about let me change that to
Okay.
EDS is truly impossible to understand unless you've lived it.
I'd say for the most part, yes. Um, I don't know. I think yes for understanding what people go through.
Yeah.
Like, you might understand the science behind it or what could happen, but for,
Mhm.
like, each person, like, the, amount and, like, how often symptoms occur when we're in pain, I personally think that is very hard for other people to understand because they haven't gone through the same things I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is interesting because I think humans are relatable creatures, right? Like so you've been talking about your EDS journey and I'm equating it to being colorblind and all my head issues with the medical doctors and all that. So like no, I can't fully understand what you're going through,
Mm,
but like I think through dialogue, like you can make connections in your own life that
yes.
at least gets you a little bit closer.
Mhm. Or at least being more, like, empathetic and
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, okay. I want to move on to talking about college a little bit.
Okay.
But before we move on, I'm sure EDS will come up in other conversation that we have. But do you have anything else that you want to share about EDS that's important?
Not at this time, but I agree. I'm sure it'll come up again
Yeah.
later on.
Okay. Tell me about college. What you're doing in school? How far along you are? All that.
Yeah, my college experience has been kind of interesting. I am now at University of Cincinnati studying health sciences pre-PT. But I honestly started college sophomore year of high school. I did dual credit classes, so I
Oh,
took college courses in high school instead of the regular classes to get credit. So I actually graduated with an associate's degree.
whoa.
Yeah, it was just a basic one. It was basically just all the, like, history, English, math, that basic, like, gen ed type courses.
Okay.
But I basically kind of just, like, fast tracked my undergrad, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Um, so now I've only done 1 full year of college, but I only have 2 left, so I'll graduate a year early, which
Nice.
I personally love.
Yeah.
I know most people don't have that experience, so I'm, like, very grateful to had have gone to that high school that I did and have had those opportunities. Um, but I love UC. It was not the first college I was at. I went to Miami up in Oxford for a semester.
Ah.
That could be a whole different conversation that we don't need to go into,
Okay.
but finally found a college that I love, which is good. It's, I don't know, very different than high school, and it's only been a year, so I'm still learning a lot. And again, I've been in like one spot for like maybe 6 months. So it's the past year and some change has been a little different. But um I find I'm learning very interesting. So I'll take that.
Great.
Yeah.
How, so UC campus is quite hilly.
Mhm.
How do you do on that campus?
We will find out this semester. Last semester, I was fresh out of knee surgery, so still on crutches. So I intentionally only had in-person classes on the med campus because the garage is right next door to it. So I did not need to do a lot of walking, and it was also a very easily accessible elevator. And then the classes that I would have taken on main campus, which is like a car or a bus ride away, I would never think about walking it. Sure, people do. I not attainable for me. Um, I just took online or at my community college because that was the best choice for me. That what was how I could still get the coursework that I needed while keeping myself safe.
Sure. Yeah. That's, okay. Well, curious to see how you'll do on, well, I mean, in general, how does walking up and down hills do for your EDS?
It's not great. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's not one of the things I can do. I don't prefer it. If there is another way around it, I'd much rather take it.
Mhm.
But I've I don't know, another thing I've learned to like I'd rather just park even if I have to pay to park and it's not a handicap. A handicap like save for like special occasions usually. I don't use it all the time.
Yeah.
But I'd rather just park to where is closest so I don't need to go up and down hills and gravel pathways because
Yeah.
it's not ideal for me, and I avoid it when possible because there's other daily activities that I can't avoid.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just one of those small things that
It If there was a hill or steps that you had to go up,
Mhm.
which would you pick?
It depends on how steep it is.
Yeah, okay.
Uh, s fairly I'd probably choose stairs because I don't trust my legs enough to not trip up
Yeah,
or down a hill,
okay.
but I wouldn't enjoy either, but I would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you were telling me before the podcast that you've been going to school for PT,
Mhm.
physical therapy, and you've had a mindset change on
Mhm.
that. Can you talk about that?
Yes, so I mean, my mind still kind of goes back and forth now, but I'm leaning more towards physician associate.
Mhm.
So I would wanna do similar realm with, like, sports medicine, orthopedics, like, something like rehab, something like that, but part of this is other people's opinions that I have taken into consideration, which at the time I thought were awful, but I also now see where they were coming from.
Mm,
Physical therapy, like doing the schooling and being the actual physical therapist, can be very physically demanding on your body.
yeah,
And I don't know if it's worth I don't know if risk is the right word, but I feel like it's not if there's something else that is similar-ish that I would enjoy, I at least wanna take it into consideration.
sure.
So, I could still work with, like, the same kind of population, but instead of doing a lot of, like, the manual, like, hands-on stuff or, like, needing to, like, I don't know, like, use weights or, like, hold people's bodies, if I can do the physician's associate side and be more on the medical, like, part of it, like,
Mhm.
just doing the tests, listening to people, giving, like, my opinion and what could help, that's a little I've since thought that is probably more attainable for me in the long run.
Mm, yeah, okay. And do you have to have your master's or doctorate for that, or
Physical therapy is a doctorate, PA is a master's degree.
okay. Is it, 'cause I think you can go from graduating to doctorate as a physical therapist. Is it
Mhm.
the same amount of time that you'd have to be in school, do you know?
Um, about it's different for almost every school. PT is usually, like, 3 years. PAs, it really depends on the program. Some of them are 24 months, some of them 27. It kinda just depends on their curriculum.
Mhm.
So, I think it's a little shorter than PA or than PT school is, but you still learn a lot
Yeah.
in a short amount of time.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting because you think about your medical journey with EDS and all that, and you're going into to healthcare, and you're going into that world, and man, like w we were talking about lived experiences earlier, like, I can see that being so beneficial for you that you've
Mhm,
been through the ringer in so many different aspects, let's say, right?
mhm.
Like, um, yeah. Um, has has being in like going through the medical system as a patient, has it made you more compassionate?
I'd say definitely, at least with, like, my experience with, like, patient care. Um, I mean, I was always, like, a compassionate person, but I feel like having my own experiences, it is easier to relate
Mhm.
in a sense. And, like, not that I know exactly what you're going through, but I understand where you're coming from and how this is challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it I feel like we can I can answer this question for you as well, but has it made you more skeptical?
In some ways, probably.
Yeah.
I kind of really just depends on, like, the situation and what it is.
Y
Sometimes, yes, but at the same time, I also try to be I'm not that person to second guess in everybody's opinions. Like, I will generally, like, I believe you. Like, everybody's, like, experiences, that's their own, yes.
yeah.
But in some aspects, especially for, like, if I still come up with, like, across those providers who are they don't have a good answer or they don't really want to think about it, then I'm skeptical for sure.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of person do you hope patients will describe you as?
Um, well, I guess just, like, compassionate, understanding are all, like, the easy ones, but just, like, I don't know, listener, taking in all their experiences, like, really hearing what they're saying and taking that into consideration, like,
Mhm.
heavily, not just like, these tests shows this, that's the answer.
Mhm.
There's so much more that goes into it for both all aspects of it. So I feel like just being that person who they have access to, but then also has some background or understanding. I think that is very important and I hope to have
Yeah,
come across.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, I wanna ask about things, so the next question is, what's the funniest what I don't wanna ask that one. What's the weirdest symptom you would say you've had or you've seen in EDS?
Um, that's a hard one because again, there's so many across like a wide variety.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest ones, I don't know if it's weird. It's just, well, I mean, it is weird, but like, I don't know if it's that uncommon, but like, I'll get like dysautonomia type symptoms. So like,
What's that?
um, basically like your autonomic nervous system is just like doing something funky. So like your autonomic nervous system is like your involuntary stuff, like your heart rate, breathing, stuff like blood pressure, stuff like that, that you don't need to think about, your body just does.
Uh-huh.
Mine will not do it correctly all the time, so, like, that's why,
Oh.
like, stairs are one of the things that are really hard, that change in position and, like, that small amount of effort, like, I get really high heart rate, I'll usually get short of breath, sometimes dizzy, or, like, even just with, like, standing, I'll sometimes get dizzy or almost pass out, but that's what I was getting to is I don't fully pass out or black out, but I get really bad pre-syncope where, like, I get, like, tunnel vision and, like, can only, like, see through, like, a small hole or, like, my vision will go black, but I don't collapse. That is
Whoa.
really weird for me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And is it when you're exerting yourself?
No, it's more so, like, after I've exerted myself, then I've, like, tried to relax, but then I try to go stand up again.
Oh.
So, like, s with exercise, I get, like, a high heart rate, but I don't, like, get to the point of I pass out. It's more so, like, when my body is trying to relax, it's kind of stuck in, like, a fight or flight mode, so it, like, tries to, like, overcompensate. So, like, I don't get enough oxygen and blood to my brain, it all just pools to my feet, and
Oh.
that's why I get, like, the, like, tunnel vision and almost blackout.
And you've never passed out from that?
I have a couple times, but most of the time, it's weird because I don't see anything, I don't have control of my body, but I can still sometimes think, and I know where I am, but I don't remember it, and I don't collapse to the floor. So
Uh,
that's why I find it weird, because it's, like, in between. I'm not passing out to the point of I fell on the floor and I, like, am completely unconscious, but it's also not like I'm about to pass out. I don't know. It's really weird.
how long does the tunnel vision and or like complete blackness last for?
It's not super long. I'd say, like, it goes from, like, brown and, like, tunnely to the black, so it's not, like, one or the other. It kind of, like, slowly starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I'd say it only lasts, like, maybe 30 seconds,
Okay.
but it's still just really weird.
Yeah, it's that is really weird. That's and does it happen only when you stand or
Usually, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um what's something completely normal for you that shocks healthy people?
Um, Being in pain every day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's shocking to other people, but, like, that's one of the things that it's normal for me, but is not normal for most people, but sometimes I forget that, like, having pain is you're not supposed to.
Mhm.
So I kind of that's one of the ones that I think about, but also forget about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you take I meant to ask you this earlier, but do you take like Advil or any like over the counter pain medicine when your pain gets bad?
I made myself intolerant to NSAIDs.
Oh.
I had 4 surgeries in 3 years and other injuries in between that, so most of the time, doctors would just prescribe an anti-inflammatory and some kind of NSAID. I took them too often for too long that I cannot tolerate it. I basically have an allergic reaction to it every time I try to take it.
Whoa.
So, I am can take Tylenol, which doesn't do anything, or there's, like, another medication that I take that also doesn't do much, but my only real form of pain management right now is acupuncture.
Wow.
Yeah.
And acupuncture helps.
Sometimes it does.
Okay.
I it would I not no one is a fan of needles, but I did not like the thought of it at first, but I kind of got to the point of I need to try something else, and it's not a magic fix, but it definitely has helped,
Yeah.
and, like, there's certain things that, like, if I do it a couple times for, like, one thing, it'll help, especially, like, it helps surprisingly with, like, my low back pain or, like, some of my joint pain.
Oh.
It's kind of yeah, it's interesting.
People have brought up acupuncture for my issues that I've been having, and I haven't done it yet, but
Mhm,
I think it's inevitable that I'm gonna try it,
mhm.
and if nothing else, I mean, it has a lot of other health benefits that I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
we'll 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 see.
yeah, I think it's worth trying. I was skeptical and I would didn't like the idea at first, but then after, like, 2 months, I was pretty sold. It's not a magic fix, but it does help some.
Interesting. And
Mhm.
and do you do that monthly or
I For the longest time, I did it weekly. At this point, I'm about, like, every 2 weeks.
okay.
But again, my symptoms are just vary so much that I need to do it pretty consistently to see results.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of other people who only do it every now and then, and it also works perfectly great for them.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, okay. That's it for that. I want to get into like bigger like conversation type things. So within the healthcare world, let's say, um, what do you think are some of the biggest improvements that can be made that would have helped out with your journey a little bit better?
Mhm. Um, Time is honestly a big one. I feel like that's one of the few things that
Time spent with you?
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, because again, most, like, physicians, I know they have very busy schedules, they have a lot of people to see,
Mhm.
but if they had the time like, more time to spend with me and they did spend that time, I feel like they would have a better understanding.
Yeah.
I feel like that is one of the few things that I can pinpoint that is not, like, on a, like, very individual aspect because every provider is different. So, like, there's certain things that certain doctors do that could change, but that's not a universal thing.
Mhm.
But I feel like time across the board for most people is a constraint.
Yeah. Um, what parts of your personality were strengthened because of EDS?
Most of them, I'd say, honestly.
Okay.
Um, Perseverance, strength.
Yeah.
Um, that's one that I find like at one of like a high point. I was always very competitive for myself, but I've also with EDS and so much, I have learned how to just persevere and push through and just keep going. Like just don't give up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a broad one, but that's one of the few things. Well, I mean, there's a lot, but
Yeah.
that's one of the like first one that's just comes to my mind for sure.
Mhm. I have a question about pain. So because you're in pain almost all the time, when you like say stub your toe or do something like that, does it hurt you think less than the average person or
No, I'd say it's the same because the pain I have is different.
okay.
It's not acute, it's very chronic
Mhm.
and also very situational.
Yeah.
So, like, things like stubbing your toe like that, that's, like, acute. I'm sure I feel it the exact same as other people do. But
Mm.
people also have different pain tolerances. So, I mean,
Mm.
pain's kind of a hard one to, like, compare to other people and to other things, I feel like.
Yeah. Do you have any like outlier, let's say, opinions on like chronic illness or EDS or anything like that?
I probably do if I like, saw something.
Yeah.
Off the bat, I don't really know, but again, they're so broad and so wide. If I'm sure if I saw came across something, I'd be like, "I see where you're coming from, but maybe not at the same time." I can't think of
Sure.
anything specific right now.
Yeah, no worries. What gives you hope?
That's a big
That is a
question.
big question. I know.
Um, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot, but EDS right now there's a lot more research coming out about it and a lot more people learning and understanding it.
Mhm.
So that is very hopeful. I don't feel like I'm in like a place of being stuck. I know that there's people are looking into it. They're trying to understand more. So that's I am looking forward to and very hopeful that that will like make some changes
Mhm.
that makes everybody with EDS's life a little easier.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Um I want to ask a few closing questions. What's the future look like for you? You've already mentioned a couple things like you're gonna graduate from college and all that. What else?
I don't know. I'm kind of just taking it one step at a time.
Mhm.
I again, the future for anybody is very unpredictable and you don't really know what's going to go on, so I just take it one step at a time. Look forward to the small things once I get to that point. What's the next thing I can look forward to?
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I'm going with my life right now.
Yeah, a question I usually like to ask earlier on in the podcast, but never did. How long, without looking, how long do you think we've been going for?
I have not a clue.
Take a guess.
Uh, like 2 hours, 40 minutes?
Okay, okay.
Maybe?
You're one of the very few guests that have guessed. Well, you
But
guessed
way far
over.
okay.
We're at 2.5.
Okay.
Uh,
That's pretty good.
and most guests guess much less time
Yeah.
than that. But
I kind of thought most people would guess under, so I was like, "Maybe I'll guess a little higher than I would actually think it is."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Didn't work
yeah.
for
I
me.
mean, you got it. I think prices. You can't go over. But I think if you play by the rules of like closest person wins, like you're probably among the top. So, yeah.
I'll take
Anyway,
it.
good guess. Um, what what else do you want to talk about that we haven't covered so far in the 2.5 hours?
We've talked about a lot. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if it's anything that we haven't covered, but just for, like, other people, like, without the experience of chronic illnesses or, like, invisible any kind of honestly, anything, just I feel like, some people don't understand, like no we don't nobody is asking you to have a perfect understanding of anything, but just knowing how every person is different. Everybody's experiences are not gonna be the same.
Mhm.
So you don't really I'd say most of the time, you don't really know what anybody's going through. So I feel like just ask.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd maybe it's different. It's different for everybody. I would like more people to ask than just assume because
Mhm.
it kind of goes both ways, but like
Yeah.
I'm definitely one of the people who I'm not very open. Like, I'm not just gonna tell you everything, but
Mhm.
if you ask, I would love to share.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly same with me as well. Like if you ask, I would love to share as well.
Mhm.
I think I think the way I've always said it is you getting you asking about my disability is like you getting to know a piece of who I am.
Mhm.
And I think that's so important. It's a big part of me, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah. Um, I do have one other question I just thought of is if someone were who is listening, he is hearing the symptoms that you have and is thinking like, "Oh, this might answer some questions." Um, maybe it's one symptoms, maybe it's multiple. What advice would you give that person?
Um, do some research. I don't know. That's honestly how I've gone through a lot of it is there's a lot of unknowns, but it's worth looking into or reaching out to somebody like a physician or I don't know, somebody who has a better understanding to ask the questions and like compare, but don't go to the point of freaking yourself out until you understand all of your questions and, like, the full
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, that's great. But I do I I think one of the reasons why I asked that question is because you kind of went through a journey that maybe somebody listening doesn't have to go through.
Yeah.
And so based on that, like what advice would you give somebody?
I sure hope somebody gets that out of this. I don't want anybody to go through the same experiences I have.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people do, but, um just look into what you're doing. If you're looking for care, just look into like whoever you're seeing and their background. Try to find somebody who looks like they would be good for you. Just because they work for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. Look at like what their background is, what type of patients they've seen, what they're comfortable with,
Yeah.
what kind of care they do. Are they one of those people who are willing to listen and take the whole story in. Even if it's not what their specialty is, consider everything versus black or white. If it's this, if it's not this, I don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
This is your only option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great answer. Um, if someone, what's one thing you hope people take away from this conversation?
Um, I don't know. There's a lot. Probably, I don't know, similar. Just
Yeah,
everybody's got something going on. Everybody's different. That's okay. Just, I feel like people just need to be very understanding, of which a lot of people are good at, but people also need to work on. Like,
yeah,
I think it's great to listen to other people's stories. Like, if they're listening to this, I'm sure they can get something out of it.
hmm
I don't know if there's one thing, but
sure,
yeah, just, I don't know, listening to people is so great that not everybody does.
hmm
And then just, I don't know, try to make those connections where you can. It's people, I always enjoy it. Not a lot of people do, but it's
hmm
always nice when someone is like, "Oh, I kind of understand this," or,
yeah,
"I would love to know more about this." Like, I
hmm
don't know, just wanting to listen and wanting to understand is very rewarding because
yeah.
there's so many other people who don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I really appreciate having you on. I've learned so much more about EDS than I already knew, and you have a fascinating story and a great life ahead of you. So I'm excited to see where life takes you.
Mm,
Where can people, if you want, where can people find you?
sure, I'm not a very, like, out there person. The only thing I'm really on is Instagram. My name is Lola. It's Lola dot elf627. I don't post on there a lot, but I that's probably where you can find me.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, yeah, again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anything else that we missed that you want to talk about before we leave?
I think I'm good. We talked about a lot and I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining the Rolling Forward podcast. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. If you have any other questions for Lola that maybe I didn't answer, put it in the comments. I think the idea is to help as many people as possible and get this to as many people as possible. So if this story resonated with you, please share it. Also, I have a t-shirt store. If you want to be a part of the nonviolent wheelchair mafia, you can go on to rollingforward.printful.me. There's a bunch of other funny shirts on there that pertain mostly to disability, including you can get my podcast logo, all those things. Rollingforward.printful.me. And if you have a story that you think would be a good fit for the podcast, please reach out. I'm open to having you on. And until next time, keep rolling forward. Thanks, everyone.